Oh, Anna, what an absolute treat to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for making the time to join us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm honored to be here.
I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Anna. Well, it wasn't really planned, actually. I kind of knew of her space. I definitely knew of her products. And I found myself up in the Northern Rivers, completely exhausted on her doorstep. And we just ended up in this such beautiful chat. And I just completely adore your vibe and your mission. And so I can't wait to share that with everyone today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I felt like you really landed on the doorstep at such a good time. And then you had this beautiful body work and took home some elixirs that you're still using in your daily practice. So it's super cool to talk to your listeners about what's actually going on for you and what the products are about.
Yeah, perfect. And plus the fact that this is an Australian company, a woman founded or co-women founded company that we can all be championing and supporting.
That's right. We make everything here ourselves. Everything's locally sourced. Everything's made by our hands. And so there's a lot of integrity that goes right from the seed of the product all the way through to the manufacturing and the fulfillment. We do everything on site. And then, as you know, we build a wellness space above our alchemist lab. So we've got the alchemist lab downstairs where all the magic happens. And then now we've got this beautiful temple wellness space upstairs, which is super cool.
Oh, and I mean, you'll hear all about it in this chat, but the links below, if you're ever up there, I highly suggest you check it out. But also we can access the beautiful products that you have in our own homes. So before we dive into all of that, just to get into a little bit of your psyche, I would love to hear your favorite quote.
Yeah, I do. I have this amazing, it's actually a whole book, but this is my favorite quote. A quote from the
What's the book?
Anam Cara by John O'Donoghue. It's one of my favorites. But the quote that I'm going to share is, may you recognize in your life the presence, power, and light of your soul. May you realize that you are never alone, that your soul in its brightness and belonging connects you intimately with the rhythm of the universe. May you have respect for your own individuality and difference.
What a prayer. What a prayer for every single one of you that are listening right now. And that is just so aligned with the intention behind the Light Path Collective. And I just think that that is beautiful.
Yeah, me too. I think it's so beautiful to remind ourselves that all the differences and all of the things that make us who we are all a part of the rich tapestry that make the universe its magical self. You know, we can so quickly overstep parts of our nature that don't feel like they are light or, you know, in that highest place, but actually those cracks are what give us that magic and that depth. I know the hardest times in my life has always been the pearls, you know. It's where that transmutation and that evolution can happen, is from those places of harder times, you know, and that can create such depth.
And how often do we try to shield ourselves or protect ourselves or run away from it instead of, like you say, just completely cracking open in it to find those pearls?
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's that path of transmutation, you know, to actually welcome that space to open into what feels like darkness. And then as you transmutate into that, it can transform into something different, become your ally, you know?
Oh, for sure. Well, I'd love to hear how your story unfolded, because you have been in this field for over 25 years and, you know, really did some work that wasn't very common here in Australia. So such a pioneer in a lot of ways. So I would love to hear your journey, your story.
Thank you so much. I started bodywork really young, actually. Straight after school, I signed up at Nature Care College. I was interested in energetic healing mostly. I sort of felt like I had a lot of sensitivities and understood a lot what was going on for people on a deeper level. So I was a very quiet child, but I think I was just in witness mode a lot of the time, sort of taking everything in. So when I started in in healing arts, it was much my calling was really around energetic work. And that took me into vibrational healing, but I really wanted to get into more substantial tactile therapies as well. So remedial massage, naturopathy, yoga, nutrition. And then my postgraduate studies led me into training so in two very quite different masteries of schools. Meta Sorensen, I'm one of her Kahuna facilitators. So I studied Kahuna, and I just love the practice and the principles of Kahuna. Very dynamic, lots of movement, lots of change, lots of transmutation, rites of passage. And then my other postgraduate study was in craniosacral therapy. And this took me studying with an amazing teacher in the States, Hugh Milne. And I traveled the world with him for about 10 years, went backward and forward from here in the States until I completed his course. Oh gosh, I was with him for 10 years. So it would have been almost 10 years ago that I graduated the Milne Institute. And I really love this style of cranio. It's about understanding the energetics of the body and listening to the unique story of each bone. So although there's a science behind craniosacral, there's always a unique magic that comes into working with the fluid tide as well. So I, in turn, over the last 10 years or so with my mentoring, have fused the two schools in my own practice, which is sort of an interesting concept because one is stillness and the other one is dynamic flow. But in that, I feel like you can hear what the dance is for each person and meet them on that level. So a lot of my mentoring now comes down to one, working with the Elixirs, obviously, that I've created, Shemana, and the other is masterful body work of listening to the unique person at the table and where they need support.
For those that are maybe very new or just unfamiliar with bodywork itself, I'd love to break down those three aspects, just really plainly and simply what bodywork is, what craniosacral work is, and then now I'm going to pronounce it wrong.
Kahuna.
I feel like I'm saying some like surfy Hawaiian word, and I feel like I'm saying it wrong. And I am. Okay.
No, it does sound like a cool surfy word.
I'm just so uncool, like the end.
But you're uncool because you're cool because you say you're uncool. Okay, so where should you want to start with the Elixirs or cranio?
Let's start with like what bodywork is, what cranio is, what Kahuna is. So just so like if anyone was open to that type of beautiful healing, like they know what they're going in for, like what's actually happening.
Yeah. I mean, body work is such a broad term these days. Healing arts is so broad, and you could be, floating your hands above a body, or you could be working with the bone aligning. So this is such a broad topic. What is body work? But let's be specific about what is craniosacral, because this is fascinating. So cranio was developed from cranial osteopathy, so bone aligning of the cranium. And once you start to listen to the bones and how they connect in the brain, you can feel the tide, it's very gentle, of the cerebral spinal fluid. So this is produced in the ventricles of the brain, and it pumps around the brain like a protective fluid. Yeah. So the brain is sitting in this salty, mineralized fluid we call cerebral spinal fluid, and it pumps down the spine and into the sacrum. So we are listening and meditating and creating enough stillness in our own self as a practitioner to be able to feel where the cerebral spinal fluid is, how potent it is, and where it might be blocked, and support and invite the body to create more fluid, move into a more optimized rhythm, or carry its fluid elsewhere in the body where it might not be getting enough. So this we call optimizing the fluid tide. And this optimization means we're carrying more minerals. There's a settling of the nervous system. Often in these fluid tide movements, there's a particular pulse that's going on. So often what people feel after craniosacral is a subtle change in their rhythm, if you know what I mean. Like your pulse that you're moving through your day, it can calm you down, but also make you feel more potent and more juicy because that fluid tide is moving at a much more optimized space and rhythm.
So how does it get blocked, or how does the rhythm of it change? And like, what is the indications within yourself to know that, oh, like something is not quite right there for me?
Yeah, so there's a lot that can come up in craniosacral around birth trauma, pregnancy, accidents, posture, trauma. Often it can be dental work. So there's a lot of craniosacral therapists that work in dental clinics in the States, because dental work like braces or having your mouth open or mouth guards, anything like that, can affect the way that your rhythm is in your body. So having cranio after really serious dental work can be really, really effective to just make sure everything's kind of flowing well. Can help with sinuses, with senses, with sleep, nervous system. So I think anxiety is a really good indication that craniosacral therapy could be good. We can work a lot with fascia as well. So there is a sense of like, if you're structurally not feeling like you're in the right place, that can be really good. And it's much more subtle than, say, chiropractic. So it's not clicking or cracking or forcing, it's an invitation. So it can be very subtle. And therefore, it can be quite easy to integrate the work because your body is moving itself there rather than being forced into that position.
Any type of healing work I've ever had done, and I'm talking like healing work at your beautiful space, but even you're actually drawing my attention back to experience I've had with work done in my intestines, clearing those out.
Yeah.
That when you're actually encouraging the body to do it itself in harmony with its own natural rhythm, that the effects are so much better. And having lived in society where we just are drugged to it or completely traumatized to it, as opposed to allowing our body to connect back to its natural wisdom.
Yeah. I think your body does want to be in a state of homeostasis. It's always looking to move there. But as we have these human experiences, those traumas can feel stuck and can settle into a new pattern or mode. And so sometimes getting a little bit of support to come back into homeostasis can be so good.
Oh, it's so nourishing. And so then how does kahuna work?
So kahuna, kahuna, it means the keeper of secrets or a shaman. So yeah, in culture, yeah. So it's like a mastery, someone who's a master of their universe. So kahuna itself was brought, this term was sort of a little bit mainstreamized by Meta Sorensen when she brought this practice of Hawaiian bodywork to Australia.
Yes, I've not ever done it, but I've heard of it.
Lomi. Lomi means
Lomi, yes.
Yeah, to push, to pull, to knead. It basically is Hawaiian for massage. So when we talk about kahuna, we talk about a rite of passage. So a style of bodywork that takes you from one space into another space by breath work, ritual, movement, flushing, lots of oil, lots of movement, lots of muscle ease, and lots of energetic shifting. So this style of massage has a component of understanding the body as a holistic nature and works a lot on the energetics of not just stirring it up, but also flushing it out and creating a transformation. So it's really a rite of passage, as is the training. It's always done in retreats. So it's live-in, it involves detox, it involves lots of emotional clearing, it involves, lots and lots of body work and learning footwork, and it's a bit of a dance. Forearm work, under body work, and a lot of kahunas will only practice for like minimum of 90 minutes, often more like 2 hours or 3 hour sessions, because it's a real overhaul. And traditionally it would be done as a rite of passage, so like birthdays, weddings, ceremonies. And Lomi is more what your nana would give you, what your auntie would give you, what your village healer would give you, just an emotional, beautiful, soft, loving massage.
Oh, why don't I live in Mullumbimby?
There's really good practitioners near you too.
You need to hook me up, girl, because like I'm dying for that kind of loving and caring and nurturing right now.
Amazing.
But the reason actually I knew about you is because you guys will know her on the podcast. Cassie Maynard uses your beautiful elixirs, and I am in love with them. And so really I just wanted to come and like find them and speak to you about those. But can you talk to us about those? And I'll actually, I'll post these. If you're not sure what they look like, I'll post them all over our socials so you guys can physically see them. Yep. But your elixirs are just something special. So can you explain, like, elixirs for dummies? What are they? How did you create them? What do they do? How can we use them?
Sure. Yeah, they're very much intentional products. So they have aromatherapy and intention, and crystal and flower elixirs all to the same intention. So the idea is that you need a support and you take a daily ritual that's super easy and you focus on that support, and the crystals, the flowers, the essential oils, and the product itself supports that intention throughout your day. So whether it's our dream mist, which is a sleep support and helps peaceful slumber, subconscious work, astral travel, whether it's shaman mist, which is much more an anchoring tool of I know who I am on the planet, I am in myself, I am bringing my higher self to the here and now and walking my talk. Or we're very well known for our heart remedy, heart mist, but it also comes as a heart oil and a perfume, which we call Equilibrium. And this is really, this remedy is a lot about emotional healing, forgiveness, self-love. Don't we all need so much of that these days?
Yeah.
And our heart mist, we can't make enough of. It flies off the shelf. I think a lot of people need a lot of heart healing right now. So we'll talk about the heart remedy. It has 3 different types of crystals. So a trinity of crystal elixirs that we make, flower essence supports that we also make. And then we craft the aromatherapy to support those crystals and that intention. So everything within the product, from the base perfume all the way through to the vibrational quality and the medium, are all aligned to that particular ritual. So the heart mist itself is a musky, rose, vanilla, very heart-centered, very memory infused, very, like, it smells like love.
Oh, it is like so delicious.
Yeah. Whereas the shaman mist is like spicy and grounded and woody, and like it's like it's got that earth, and it's like it is a grounding tool of bringing your spirit to now, to being here on the earth plane and being all that you can as a human.
Well, as big a human as we can. And I know a lot of you are listening, but basically what we're talking about is bottles, and they have this spray in them, and then you spray it in order to activate, enhance,
create a daily ritual. So a lot of people know about bush flower essences or bark flower essences, which are the drops that you internally take. We've sort of taken this method and brought it into skincare. So whether it's in one of our bath salts or a body oil or a face serum or a perfume, these activated vibrational tools are inside of this skincare so that your daily routine can become an intentional ritual, and you are in that conscious creation of your life in every moment you need it.
And I can't stress that enough, that activated vibrational essence that you're using. So, I think that on the surface, a lot of people may think this is a little woo-woo.
Yes.
So can you tell us?
I first brought this out 10 years ago. It was very woo-woo, that was a term we used, like, how do we, because I'm woo-woo. My business partner,
we're all a little woo-woo, we're here, right?
And always have been. For me, shaman mist was like, yeah, the world needs that. And she's like, really? That's like pretty bold. So I'm like, no, we do. We all need to embody our own inner shaman, our own inner alchemy, our own inner heart space, And yes, this is woo-woo. And 10 years ago, putting crystals in skincare was extremely woo-woo. But nowadays, it doesn't seem so. It's like, it does feel to me, and maybe it's because I live in Byron, but it does feel like there is a quality where this is a part we all know we need extra support.
Yeah.
And we all are here at a big time on the planet, and we're all going through really huge things. And having supports with meditation and ritual and intention, like, why not? Why not make your life more embodied and more you and more creative of your own, what you're wanting to make happen in your life? And that's what they're about.
Oh, and I think they're so complementary to the work that we do here. I bang on constantly about there's no magic to this universe other than that which you are prepared to bring and create. And so all this manifestation rhetoric and BS really is about vibration and alignment and who you're willing to show up as. And then if you can layer that with these beautiful vibrational essences and elixirs and mixes.
And it smells good too.
Oh my God, so good.
And like I smell yummy, and the world smells yummy. And
it feels like, so I've got like a table of them in my home and my workspace. And if you come here for healing, they get used upon you, just depending on what I'm feeling that you're needing. But every morning I use the ritual mist, and it just feels so luxurious.
Right. I'm glad you're having that experience. So we actually made the products for bodywork originally. I had a practice in Avalon on the northern beaches of Sydney, and Jamie was working in cosmetics, and I asked her to make me an oil that people could use as a take-home support, like in between sessions to massage yourself or have something that confirms the quality of the session. So you have this massage, and then you go home, and then you have something that you reapply, and the smell makes you feel, and the vibration is there, and there's a ritual and there's an intention, so you can integrate the bodywork. And she came back to me with a business plan and said, I could make you a product, or we could do this.
We could make a whole business that will change your life.
Exactly. And it was a real niche in the market. I was like, this actually is a no-brainer. And worst case scenario, we have hundreds of bottles of oils to give to people for Christmas. So let's give it a try. 10 years later.
I know, you should see where they work now. It's so amazing. Like a little factory.
Great. It's really beautiful, and it's nice to hear them being so well received, the stories we hear about people loving them. And since we opened House of Shemana last year, we have had a lot more engagement with our clientele and people who use our products, and hearing how they use them and their rituals and how they've affected their lives and how they love to gift them. And it's so beautiful to get that feedback and hear how much it can support people's lives. It's really beautiful.
So you don't have to be in Byron to access these, because House of Shemana is also online. So if someone was to go ahead and like dip their toe in and maybe get one of these beautiful elixirs, how would you suggest that they use it?
Yeah, so shemana.com.au is where you can purchase the products online direct from us. The mists are such an easy go-to. You really just spray them around your field or around your house. Crystal clear mist, for example, is like a smokeless smudge. So you just spritz the house, and it cleanses the air and the energy. So they're really, really easy to use. The oils obviously is more adaptable depending on who you are and what you do with your body. I like them at the end of the shower when I'm still like a little damp, and just rub them on, and they mesh with the water and it feels really nice. Or you can pop them in the bath. I massage my daughter with the heart oil her whole life. I think that's such a beautiful tool for giving love. So massaging your partners or your family, they're beautiful for that. The perfume elixirs are a little different. They're quite a concentrate. So you wear them as a pulse point perfume, or you can anoint your body in them, like put them on your heart center. And there's 3 different types of those, which is probably another big conversation, because they're a very concentrated anointing perfume. So we have those 3, and then we simply have some bath salts, some sage wrapped in wildflowers, Palo Santo to cleanse your space, rope incense that's hand woven. So we have these little ritual extras that we bring out every year to support your home, your environment, your altars, and your own practice. We do say with all of our products to use them intentionally. So whatever, it's like word magic, whatever whatever you're focusing on will happen, we
Yeah.
believe. So it's like, you know,
Where attention goes, energy flows, right?
exactly. So if you're working with heart healing and you're using a heart elixir and you're spraying yourself with heart mist every day, you're bound to feel more love in your life and more appreciation because you're focusing on that area. So all of the products have their own supports and vibrations and specific intention that they're crafted for.
We mentioned it just before, but like, where can we find you, connect with your work? And I strongly recommend, if you are up the Northern Rivers Way, please go in and check out their space, get a treatment, because the practitioners there are also beautiful and so under your tutelage, which the lineage is always really important to me. And so to know that, it's so reassuring. Plus there's a beautiful meditation space, and I got the opportunity to try the vagus nerve vibrational tool.
Yes, the little reset ritual. Yeah, it's really beautiful. So yeah, the space here is beautiful, and our community here is very strong. Standard is very high, and yeah, the ritual component, bringing that into the massage. It's a lot about presence and integrity, and I think that shines through in the space as well as the product. So I'm really glad you got to receive that when you were here.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful morning. So where can we find you?
Shemana, is that what you mean?
Yeah, all of it. Hit us with all of it. I mean, it's all in the show notes, but just make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Where do we find you?
So yeah, I'm based here in the Northern Rivers at House of Shemana. So Shemana's created downstairs. You can find us online, and we have about 300 retailers around the world. So we have a few stores in the States as well, and in Europe and in New Zealand, and then mostly around Australia. And then obviously House of Shemana is here if anyone's in Byron, and we do host tea ceremonies, cacao ceremonies with Cass. We've got beautiful bodywork, acupuncture, craniosacral therapy, mind, abdominal, kahuna, all sorts of beautiful things happening here. And I do get out and teach a little bit too, mentor at different spas. So there's probably more to come about that next chat.
Oh, amazing. So if you're in this field and you want that extra training, or this calls to you, like, reach out, because you'll be directed in the right way. Thank you so much for not just making the time today, although I deeply appreciate it, but I just want to say thank you for creating such a beautiful space. But then the products, like you say, that you can take home and really enhance your own space and that connection to yourself, and that little bit of extra special something to amplify your vibration, to purify it, and to help and hold and heal it. Thank you so much for being a little bit woo-woo and crazy and going out on the ledge and at the edge of your potential, as I like to call it, and going for it, because you've created something that I really admire, and I just think is such a gift.
Thank you so much for your words. I really appreciate that. And it's a real honor. I love my life path. I feel like I get to still put all of the magic of doing body work into these little elixirs, and they get to spread across the world. So it's really beautiful to get your feedback and hear from you. Thank you so much for your time too.
If you are at all interested, please check out the show notes. Go click and, take yourself home a little, or get delivered to your home just a little bit of magic in that bottle. And if you have any experience of using these products, or you go ahead and use them, we would love to hear about it on our Facebook community group. Share the love, share your experience, and I will definitely pass that on. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.